Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Corrina, and I'm coming to you from the Pacific Northwest, where I live with my partner, our two kitties, and the two horses that I'm walking out to feed right now. Today is Friday, January. No, it is July 26th, my sister-in-law's birthday. Happy birthday, Jen. Hope you have an enjoyable day, and we'll see you when we get together. January. It's been a little chilly, so it's back down in the 40s overnight, which I kind of don't mind. It's getting warm during the day. I think the forecast is for the mid to upper 70s today. I don't mind that. I don't mind the warm days and the cool nights. It's pretty idyllic summer, I think. So, after the introduction and the weather report and kind of where I'm going, what's this channel about? If you are new here, I talk about knitting. I talk about my horsemanship journey. Those are the two primary things I talk about. And I also talk about bicycling and gardening. So I bought a new bicycle in March and have been doing some cycling, not nearly enough. I have a full-time job, so trying to balance everything can be challenging. But you know, I get enough done, and including quite a lot of knitting. I honestly can't remember if I have a finished object for you today, but I will get to that when I get to the knitting segment. So there is Odin the Mustang peeking out of Bragi's stall. I assume Bragi's in there with him, waiting for their breakfast. I talk about Mustang adoption, or I have a link to the wild horse adoption program through the Bureau of Land Management, which is where I got both my Mustangs. So I'm going to get to feeding, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the knitting portion of my podcast. I'm still getting a little settled. It's about 7, it's not quite 7 a.m. So I've already fed the horses and taken a shower, eaten breakfast, and I'm on my second cup of tea. My cup warmer is back there, which is why I have to keep reaching back. My computer's right here, which I'm not going to refer to because I kind of looked at it and hopefully will remember everything that I want to talk about. But let's dive into the knitting before I start diving into the other topics. So what am I wearing? This is an old finished object. I was trying to remember if I finished it last spring, as in 2023, or sometime before that, because I do remember wearing it in May of last year. This is the Adelyn tee. You can see it has kind of a nifty pattern, and the sleeves are kind of this, I don't know how to describe it. They don't go all the way around, so it's kind of a flap, if you will, with a kind of a, I'm trying to show you in the camera, but I'm looking at my phone because that's where I can see things. And everything is opposite, so I'm still getting used to that. So I don't know if you can see that stitch pattern. It's the same as is on the yoke. And this was really fun to knit. It's out of, it's a Barocco pattern, excuse me. And it came from one of their collections. It's been in the last couple of years. You might have seen their Intarsia pattern that was pretty popular with a lot of people. I didn't knit that one, but I did knit this one. And the yarn that I chose was not the recommended yarn. I chose a I think it's a viscose blend, if I remember right. And it could have been Barocco yarn that I substituted in. So it has this yoke, and then it is stockinette stitch, and then 1x1 ribbing at the bottom. So it's a nice summer tee. It's not quite feeling summer outside yet. It might be 50 degrees by now. I mean, the sun is just coming up over the trees, and it was definitely in the 40s this morning. I don't recall the needle size. I will put a link to the pattern and my Ravelry project page in the description box. I'm not always really good about writing down needle size and stuff like that, but I really do like the yarn, this viscose blend for a summer tee. It's kind of feels cottony and kind of cool. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, let's talk about works in progress, because I don't have any finished objects. I couldn't remember if I had finished anything, but let's just dive in. So I started this, and I am knitting from this book. Stephanie Lotvin is the author, and it's a way to use self-striping yarn that are not in socks, if you choose. I have a lot of self-striping yarn and plenty of socks, so I thought I would give this book a try. And I am knitting the backlit tee sweater, and I'm knitting it kind of in the opposite color scheme, and I'm actually not using self-striping yarn. I'm using fingering weight yarn by, see if I can get that close, Legacy Fiber Arts. I believe this is the old cider mill sock set. So these are the two I'm using. I think this one has the main color and this one has the contrast, if I remember right. And they are kind of close, but I think there's enough contrast. I'm also using a, and I honestly don't remember if this was part of the set or not, but I'm using another one of their yarns for the ribbing around the neckline, and then we'll also do the same for the other ribbing pieces. So here's where I'm at. This is the progress that I've made. Top down knitting this. I cast on the smallest size, and then when I started the color work, the yoke, I switched to the largest size. And I think that is going to give me the fit that I want. If I had cast on the amount for the largest size, I think this neckline would have been kind of gapey, and I'd rather not have that. So so you can see this ribbing is in that kind of lighter mauve color. This is the main color here, the start of the yoke, where there are, what's it called? Oh, it's where you lengthen the back. They're short rows, so that you can add some length to the back, so it's not just kind of a boat neck like this sweater probably is that I'm wearing. So it gives it just a little bit of shape around your shoulders, and then you can see the color work. I'm using the recommended size needles, which I believe are a size 6, and I think that is 4 millimeters. My gauge tends to be loose, but however, when I knit color work, it tends to be a bit tighter. So that's why I have made the adjustments. But I think you can see the pattern. Let me see if I can show this a little bit better. I also, here, let me see if I can do this better so it's not quite as distracting. Yeah, I think this is showing up very nicely. Also, in the past when I've knit color work, I have caught the floats like every other stitch. I opted to not do that. So this is the back part. I'm just letting the floats go. It's kitty playtime, so I don't know if you can hear that little ball rolling around, but there's one of the cats, I assume it's Harley, is awake and wanting to play now. So I'm really excited about this. I love the pattern. If it fits well, I will probably do this again. That is Harley. He just batted the ball over here. And I will probably use a self-striping yarn with a neutral background as the main color. So, and hopefully it only takes that, like, it's going to be probably 900, maybe 1,000 yards total, and hopefully that will be sufficient. The other project I've been working, oh, I forgot to mention the bag. And so this bag, my partner, Randy, made me. He is a sewist. I think I showed this last time. So he has an industrial machine that he makes bicycle bags from. And he had, he got these leather scraps from his work. He works for a, excuse me while I amuse the kitty. He wants to chase the ball. And he has it made a felt lining. Let's see if I can show that. And then the handles are a belt that his mom gave him when he was in high school, and it was just too narrow for his taste and usefulness. So he's a bit of a sentimental guy, so he'll keep stuff like that. But I love that he made this, incorporated this belt into bag, because it obviously means a lot to him. This project bag was made by my mom. Very simple drawstring bag, just made out of fabric that has garlic on it, which is great. Hopefully I'll remember to talk about garlic when I talk about gardening and stuff that I've done. So these socks are the Winterfest socks by Kay Jones. I'm using 3 different yarns. So this is a Knit Pick Stroll in Dove Heather. I lost the label to this yarn. It might be a hand-painted yarn from a maker in Montana. I don't know if that person is still in business. Someone, when I first got this yarn, someone had mentioned it. That was when I still had a viewer, had mentioned knowing a little bit of history about this yarn dyer. And that was at the time that I still had the label, so I could be accurate about it. I did the heel in a Finnish wool that I believe is called Tokol. I do have the label for that. Here it is. I bought this in Wisconsin a couple years ago. It must have been 2022. And it's called Tuku Wool Sock. And it came from Utopia Fiber Shop from Viroqua, Wisconsin, when I was visiting family. And this is made from 80% Finnish wool and 20% polymade. The needles I'm using are Chagu Red Lace. Let's see if I can. Size 0. I knit left-handed, and when I started knitting left-handed, my gauge became a lot looser. I think it's starting to tighten up though, because I also make the smallest size socks, so I cast on 56 stitches for this. The pattern's really fun, easy to memorize. It has a chart, but still easy to memorize. It's an 8-row repeat. So I think I did 48 rounds, so 6 repeats, and now I'm on the gusset decrease, and the bottom of the sock will be just stockinette, and then the top of the sock will retain the pattern. This is a little bit of a thicker wool, or at least the pattern kind of makes it so. So this won't be a summer sock. Oh, I know what I was going to say about this. So this finish wool is a little bit stiff, and I did break um, one of these bamboo needles. So I had to order another set, and I'm just going to have to be more careful. I could use my steel needles, except I found that once when I knit one sock with the bamboo and once with the steel, even though they're both size 0, 2 millimeter, the sock with steel that I made with steel needle came out bigger. So I have to be careful with that. So these socks are one at a time. I'm probably going to do, oh, the stitch hole, or the marker just got caught in my hair. I may do the toe in this Dove Heather. I'm not sure. Or I may do it in this, this finish wool again. Not sure. I'll let you know. Maybe next time I will have one finished sock from this project. One thing I really like about these drawstring bags is that I can secure them from the yarn murdering kitty, otherwise known as Herbert. I'll talk about Herbert more in the gardening part of my, because he did something funny this week. And my third whip is in this bag, also made by my mom. So this one was a lot more effort. It has a zipper, it's quilted, it's lined. Yeah, one of my favorite bags. I use this one all the time. These socks are also a Kay Jones pattern. These are the Prairie socks. I'm making them from a Blanket Club fingering weight yarn set from Polka Dot Creek in Canada, knitting these 2 at a time. So I did the cuff, 18 rows of ribbing, 6 rows each, and then each stripe is 12 rows. And then I did the heel in that, and then I am getting close to the toe on this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, 48 rounds. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to get close probably to 60 in this one. So I'm on the 1, 2, 3. I'm on the 4th stripe. So I'll probably have one more stripe before I do the toe on this one. And I am knitting these 2 at a time. And again, Chogu red lace, size 0. So yeah, you can see my my gauge is getting a little bit tighter. It could be the pattern too. It has a twisted stitch in it that's very easy to knit. You don't need a cable needle. Highly recommend Kay Jones patterns. So I am participating in the Crazy Sock Ladies Summer Sock Camp, which is going on for another month. I think I've knit probably 4 pairs of socks for that effort. I know lots of people are knitting like 10, 15, 20 pairs of socks. I don't knit that much during the day, and I'm not a particularly speedy knitter either. I mean, like I said in my introduction, I work full time, so usually what I do is I knit first thing in the morning, wake up really early. The alarm goes off at 4 a.m. at our house. So I get up, make myself a cup of tea, and I knit. And then I feed the horses, and I go to work. And sometimes I can knit if I have a Zoom meeting or something that I just need to pay attention to, but not participate in or not contribute in any way. So sometimes I do that. And then the other time that I regularly knit is in the evening when we are kind of settling down and watching TV. That is the knitting portion of this episode. I did say I would talk about gardening. So kind of transitioning somewhat between summer and fall, even though I don't have fruiting tomatoes yet. I'm kind of, it almost feels like I'm transitioning between the spring and the summer garden, even though we are getting towards the end of July. And, I'm back to planting. I planted more squash and planted more cucumbers because we'll probably have summer until at least the end of September. So that'll be cutting it a little close. you know, in terms of temperature. But, you know, of course, daylight's going to be a factor about mid-September. So I've harvested garlic. So that was the connection to the bag that my mom made. So harvested my garlic. It was all feral garlic, garlic that didn't get harvested in a previous year, and then I thinned it earlier in the spring, so it got some really nice bulbs from that. So I have no idea what kind variety is. I think it's a hardneck variety, so not necessarily a good keeper, but I will do my best. Potatoes, have harvested a lot of potatoes, and so typically what I do is I harvest them, kind of let them cure a little bit outside, then brush the dirt off and bring them inside and rinse them and then put them on the counter to dry. Well, yesterday I was working and I had done that at lunchtime. You know, I washed them, put them on the counter to dry, and went back to work, came upstairs, and Herbert had a potato on the floor that was way more chewed up than I would have expected for a cat. So that potato is in the seed potato bag. So once it goes through its required chill period, I will see if it is has enough left of it to grow fall potatoes. So I pulled the fava beans out yesterday. Trying to think. I've been really trying to, you know, keep up on planting lettuce and kale and you know, all the things we eat. I harvested all the kale that had overwintered and had bolted, so I cut all that out and harvested all the leaves. So we have probably 5 pounds of kale in the refrigerator, and thankfully it keeps well and we like it. We eat a lot. Other garden news, like I said, I'm not getting any fruits yet. The tomatoes have flowers. Hopefully the zucchini will have flowers soon. So we are going to be eating zucchini and tomatoes into October and November, I think, if we're lucky. Still have potatoes to harvest out back because I have some garden beds back there as well that are made from long composted manure piles. Those manure piles are under a piece of black plastic for like 2 years, so they are well rotted. What else was I going to talk about? Bicycling. So we have done some bicycling, and I will likely have some bicycle footage for you in this episode. Probably from a couple weeks ago. I'm finding that I just really can't put, you know, like all the footage into a video. Otherwise it would be way too long. But, you know, it'll be fun to kind of see these, you know, these summer videos as we get into fall and winter. So, like I mentioned this morning, it is starting to feel sort of fall-ish out, at least in the morning. It is. Summertime's definitely, I mean, during the day, it's definitely very summery. Horse training. I haven't really talked about that. So last week, my trainer and I had a misunderstanding, so I didn't get a lesson with Bragi. I went on a couple bike rides instead of riding Odin, which I don't think he minds. I think he really enjoys being in the pasture, and I do work him a little bit in the round pen during the week just to keep him moving and get his exercise. We all need our exercise. Bragi is going to have a lesson today. My trainer and I have reconfirmed our time for today, so she's coming at 9 and working with Bragi in the trailer, and he's been doing great. I had to go to the eye doctor Tuesday morning, so I didn't get a chance to work with him. So he just had one session this week, and hopefully, you know, my trainer will still see some improvement and also give me some suggestions on how to keep moving forward with him. But he's really come a long ways. Oh, and you know, he's. I was thinking that this morning, just like, I really needed Odin. Odin is a steady Eddie. He's an independent horse. He's very easy. Bragi needs me. And he showed me that yesterday when I was feeding, and I had to feed a little bit early yesterday because I had a late afternoon, early evening meeting, and I just wanted to get them their food on time. And so I was out there feeding a little bit early, and the boys were out in the pasture, but hopefully this is a little better angle. So I'm still heading north. Still on pavement. Just came down a really long, fun downhill. Had to kind of feather the brakes because there's a stop sign at the bottom of the hill, and you just need to stop for it because oncoming traffic does not stop. We almost bought a piece of property that's to the right-hand side of this, and we looked at the house several times. They were asking way too much for it, and it needed paint, and it needed pastures for blackberries. It did have a studio apartment. Well, actually, it was a full apartment up in the barn. But the barn was used as a shop and not really set up for stalls. The apartment certainly would have given us rental income, which would have helped pay for some of those things. But we actually like where we are now. The main advantage to this property, and I don't know if you can see all the blackberries to the right, but this is an example of what the entire pasture looks like. The main advantage to this property is that there's direct access to those trails that I was on, a different part of the trails, but nevertheless, access to the trails without having to trailer anywhere, and that would have been a huge advantage. There was another house like that we looked at. It was basically a really nice apartment on top of a really nice shop, which of course Randy was super interested in the shop, and it also had direct access to trails. However, the property was really wet. Sounds like there's people haying or mowing up here, so I am going to turn off the camera. So I just let the boys out in the back pasture, and there's a deer over there. That is probably what was crashing in the brush.